to the life and suffering of Sir Brante. Now, we're halfway through the first chapter of our childhood. We just finished saving our baby brother Nathan from our deranged mother who was shaking him like a basket. Now we're entering the 5th year of our life. Toy soldiers. You wake up to Father's touch on your shoulder. He's finally back home after a long trip. Orson, today is your special day, the day when you begin your studies. Now teachers will be coming to our home to teach you, and you must do everything they say. Be diligent in your studies, and you will grow closer to the nobleman's lot. And since you must remember this day, a present is in order. Lydia, get our little schoolboy dressed. I'm taking him to the market district. Stefan wants to come with you too, but your father shushes him sternly. This is your day. Your elder brother is hurt to hear this, but stays quiet. An open carriage takes the two of you through the dusty, noisy city streets. A pleasant wind tussles your hair. Your city is called Anzoit. That you already know. It is one of the largest cities in the entire empire. There's a big shadow on the street. It comes from the white foliage of an enormous tree that spreads its branches above the city. My son, did you know that the silver tree grew from the blood of our God's own disciples? It has been growing there for 100 years, right in our city. It cannot be damaged or burned. Not even the clergy know why. The carriage comes to a halt by a small shop next to the city square. You run there and freeze by the stalls in excitement. The shop is packed with dolls and figures and toys. You've never seen so many at once before. Have you chosen your present yet? Father asked. You have. You want the Holy Order set, which includes several figurines from the Empire's greatest warriors of all time. You rattle off everything you know about the Holy Order. They are the ones who aided the Emperor's own forces in seizing the province of Magra and storming our city. That's how we joined the Empire. Father nods in approval. Very well. War isn't your lot for now, but these days, these toy soldiers will teach you to think like a general. We will lead them into battle and study military strategy. Go ahead and take your present. Having said this, Father turns away to examine the books. You run to the box of toy soldiers, delirious with excitement. But there is a fancy-dressed boy in your way. He's about to take your warriors for himself. His eyebrow... He elbows you aside and reaches for the box. Anger overcomes you and you push him from behind. Your opponent falls to the floor. The rich boy screams so loudly everybody in the shop hears it. He hit me! He hit me! A tall tower of a man looms over you. This is the boy's father. But then you feel your own father's hand on your shoulder. What happened? You press against Father, your mind more at ease now. He will protect you. Yes, you shoved the boy to the floor in front of everyone, but he tried to take your present for himself. Father turns you around to face him when he hears these words. Is this true, Rat? Is this true, Horson? Did you strike the son of a nobleman? Quietly say that it was an accident. You tell your father that you are paid the impudent boy in kind. first choice, what's it gonna be? Do we deny our guilt, or do we speak the truth? Honest to a vault, or do we save the day by lying? I mean, we want to look good, right? This will definitely hurt our reputation if we just tell the truth, but... Tell the truth. Damn it. It isn't fair to blame you without letting you speak too. You didn't want to shove the stupid boy, he was the one who shoved you first. But the angry nobleman, the boy's father, will not let you finish. Nobody cares a whit for your so-called truth, little lowborn. The law is the law, and your punishment is due. Your father nods in agreement to these words, no matter how sad they make him. They lead you and the nobleman's son out of the shop. You are told to bow to him and show humility. You feel bad. A bad feeling sends you shiver down your spine. With a satisfied grin on his face, the boy swings his arm and slaps you in the cheek. He strikes you again and again. Enough. He got what he deserved. We're leaving. Get out of our way. Your head is swimming from the heavy blows. You return to your senses back in your bed. The servants treating your faith. Father stays by your side all day. The morning after, you find a little box on your bed with the tin soldiers of the Holy Order inside. You paid dearly for your stubbornness. Yeah, but we aren't gonna take that kind of shit. Six years. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. Oh no, what's happening? Our first consequence. Your younger brother Nathan is growing. Your mother spends more time with the rest of the family now. You help her and play with your brother and take care of him when she asks. You often go to mother's rooms to sit at the foot of her bed after Nathan falls asleep. She reads you the sacred books and asks you about the things you learned that day. During these moments, you see the world through her eyes as well. One day the room of your door opens and she brings in a large box covered with a piece of cloth. It's rare for you to see her so overjoyed. She sets the box on the floor and removes the cloth. The box under the cloth is made of glass and a wooden base. Inside you see a layer of earth shaped carefully. Inside you see a layer of earth shaped into carefully crafted passages. And these passages are full of hardworking ants. Ooh, an ant farm. Horse, this is my gift to you, an ant farm. It's a little world in a small box. We can watch them through the glass. Look. This is the queen ant. She is the reason all these little ants were born. You sit by the box together. You hold your breath as you watch the ant colony at work. There turns out to be a method to the ants' chaotic movements. Every single one of them has a task to perform. Some of them have larger mandibles. They are the protectors of the colony. They can draw blood from your finger. Others work around the colony, repairing the walls and clearing any debris from the passages. There are also workers who collect food you put in a special tray. Leaves, bits of meat, maggots, they bring it to the rest of the colony. You take a worker ant and put it right next to the food. However, the insect has no interest in it. It starts circling around the tray aimlessly. Mother takes the stray ant and puts it back where it belongs. Why did you do that, my son? The ants cannot do what they weren't born to do. Each of them was born for their own job. You shake your head slowly. If the ant could do whatever you wanted them to do, this is your gift now, so they belong to you. Or maybe Mother's presence is the reason they won't obey you. Let's go out and find some more bugs. Mother Look is full of warmth and love. Nathan, Gloria, and Father are always right. Are away right now. For the first time in a long time, it's just the two of you, and Mother takes great joy in watching over the ant farm. She shares her knowledge of the world with you. The things she tells you are true. You move closer to her and suggest going outside and finding bugs for the ants. She agrees to this happily and holds your hand as you leave the house. Soon you are busy catching bugs and sharing your thoughts on how the ants will feed the colony with them. From time to time you laugh together, making up stories about errant flies and caterpillars overthrowing the ant kingdom. You and Mother hold hands as you return to your room. She can't help but smile. It's a faint smile, a child's smile, a smile full of sunlight. You're so happy you have seen the world through her eyes. Alright, we gained some more willpower. The family dinner. Today, Father ordered the dinner table to be brought out into the yard. For the first time in months, he's home. Outside of the confines of his always locked study, he spent the entire day playing with Nathan and you, discussing various matters with Stefan, now an adolescent, and walking in the garden, and now a dinner under the open sky. Your entire family gathers together, with Father at the head of the table, smiling. He asks each of you about your studies. Nathan climbs up on his knees and recites a counting rhyme in a funny sing-song voice. Stefan mentions that his fencing teacher praised his accomplishments. He rises from the table together with Father to show his skills in a practice duel. Next comes Gloria's turn. She stands on her chair and recites a lengthy prayer by heart. Mother showers your sister with praise. Father chuckles quietly, hiding a smile in his mustache. When your turn comes, you recite all the ranks in the Legion, from common soldier to high commander. Stefan listens to you with a skeptical look on his face. Night slowly falls, but the servants ensure that the yard is well illuminated. You don't feel cold in the dusk tonight. It feels so good, so important. All of you are finally together, sitting at the same table. No fights, just smiles. No arguing, just pleasant small talk. A nice family moment. Then, a servant approaches Father with a letter in hand. He reads it in the dim light. Each line washes the smile off Father's face, until only a stone-cold mask remains. Mother looks at Father with an unspoken question in her eyes. Gregor Brante is coming back to Anzoet. He is the head of our family. My father. Grandpa. Your grandfather, Gregor Brante, returned to the family home from the capital. Ever since the news of grandfather's impending arrival, there has not been a single day when the house was not cleaned or decorated. Your parents anxiously make sure everything is in order. They tell you to wash your face and hands after walks, and scold you for leaving books on the floor. They tell Gloria she will be flogged if she is ever seen hiding in the attic. They make Stefan stay in his room. Even baby Nathan gets in trouble. Everyone is on edge. Then, one day grandfather arrives. It is a grim day, so hot your neck is sticky with sweat. Father, Mother, Stefan, Gloria, and you, and Nathan. The entire Brante family stands on the porch in front of the house. The house servants lined up behind you. The carriage arrives, and out steps a tall, gaunt man with a heavy walking stick and an even heavier gaze. You cringe instinctively. Good health to you, father. Children, greet your grandfather as you have been taught. Still trying to look like a real nobleman, are you? You can't fool me, Robert. I was the first in the Brante to be ennobled by the mantle, and I am the only one who remembers how to bear this burden properly. Oh, quite full of yourself, eh? I live honorably by my lot. Your marriage to that low-born wretch cuts us from ever becoming nobles of the sword. My progeny could have been born bearing noble blood. Father, I beg you, this is not the place. Grandfather eyes him with scorn and walks into the house, the entire family following close behind him. I have been away far too long. The entire house is a mess. This is an insult. How can you live in such a pigsty, Robert? The servants have grown far too lazy, all thanks to your commoner of a wife. I warned you, did I not? And yet you did as you saw fit, and the children. What do they know of tradition or honor? They are being raised in a virtuous family, father. And now you're speaking like a lowborn who's content to live in humility. Twins willing. Now that I'm here, this will not happen again. I'm taking your oldest son to the capital. I see you cannot provide Stefan with a proper education, so I will correct your mistake. Your brother's fate has been decided just like that. Father does not object. He orders the servants to prepare Stefan for the journey. Stefan freezes in place, glancing at grandfather and father again and again. The latter puts a hand on his shoulder reassuringly. Grandfather's lips are a tight line, white with contempt. The house is examined room after room. Everything grandfather sees is showered with scorn. He scoffs at a crease on a blanket in Nathan's crib in mother's bedroom. He mocks Gloria knitting in her room. The door to your room is next. What is this, Robert? Tin soldiers in your younger son's room? He was born a commoner. I won't have him daydreaming of battle. The fuck? Grandfather seizes the box containing the Tin's warriors of the Holy Order. Your father stays silent. Anger and fear boil within you. This is your big present. From the first day of your studies, it means so much to you, but what if he's right? What if you need to prove your right to command the toy soldiers first? Grandfather shakes his head in disapproval and shoves the toy box into the roaring fireplace. If you wait too long, they will melt into flames. Watch them melt helplessly. I don't have enough determination. Burst into tears. Strike grandfather. What? Fuck grandpa. Let's kick him in the leg. Overwhelmed by helpless rage, you run to your grandfather and kick him in the shin. With all the strength he can muster, yet he is immovable. The next thing you see is him leaning, towering over you menacingly, his heavy walking stick in hand. Low-born scum, how dare you raise your hand to me? The blow hits home. The handle of the walking stick is heavy as a rock. You're dazed, robbed of both hearing and sight. Down comes another blow. A sharp pain splits your head, then darkness. Your head twitches against your will. Your hand twitches against your will. Then again and again. It's like it's trying to catch a flying butterfly. And then you fall into primordial void. The void takes away a part of you. one of the lives you are given to live. It will never return. There is pain and desperation and a sense of loss. Nothing can be done now. Grandpa just killed me. You fall into a pain that embraces you like a soft featherbed. You feel light, free. There are no restraints, just warm glow that envelops you in its secure embrace. The waves carry you, their touch is soft, delicately enshrouded what was once your body. It is feeling unlike anything you have ever experienced before, something absolute and complete. You touch something greater, the reason behind everything, the reason for your existence. You were sculpted from this light. It was the first thing you ever felt, a boundless and sincere unity of the diverse. Your being was a spark that cast this light in all directions. And now you're here again, one with the beginning of everything. The light gleams, that light gleaming from you resembles the light of the shining pillar. You still see it in the north as always. The waves of light carry you to two figures. The eldest is nearest. He is ready to accept you. He is quiet, wise, kind, and pure. The younger awaits further back. You do not know what he is yet. The waves pause at the elder's feet. He leans over you and plants a feather-like kiss on your forehead. The kiss spreads all over you. You are filled with unparalleled delight and bliss. You exist. You are unique. There is no one else like you. They know this, and they love you. You will never be alone. You are part of them and part of your family, a part of this universe. The twin gods will never leave you. They watch over you constantly. The elder softly touches you as you lie spread out among the waves, sending you further down the torrent of light. You float on to the top of the silver tree's spreading crown. The closer you get to the silver tree, the heavier you become. The waves draw you down along its trunk, but you do not wish to be part with the warmth and softness with the love. You turn around. The elder is still watching you. He nods. All is as it should be. Go. Your time has not yet come. You must return to the world now. As you tumble down towards your body, you comprehend the true meaning of your lesser death and the divine love that has been revealed to you. Love exists not only in the hereafter, it is present in the entire design of the twins. That is the origin of all life in this world. What is the manifestation of this love in your mortal life? Alright, so Empire. By creating the Empire, the twin gods cared for all living creatures. The Empire is the only thing that gives us place in the world and a connection to others. The gods give you clear mission in this world, thus gifting you with everything in the beginning, with your very being, this manifestation of their love for you and all things. Love always lives in kindred blood. You share the miracle of life and the universe with your kin. Your family is what are given upon being born. Cause. The love of gods have for you is so great that they allow you to change the world they have created, to influence with your deeds. Whatever your mission is, it is proof the gods love you. What could be stronger manifestation of love than your very existence? Your every emotion, every thought, every action exists by virtue of love. You do not find the answer you seek. I want to change the world. Let's go with cause. A sudden comprehension of the love with which the entire world is imbued illuminates in your mind, but then fades away and vanishes. You regain the sensation of your flesh. It is heavy and unwieldy. It lacks that lightness, that light. It is burdened, and it smothers you. You gasp for air, your chest expands painfully. You feel as though your lungs are about to burst. The stagnant odor of the crypt fills them, revolting but so real. You are back. Then you smell a sickly moist smell. You feel dampness all around you. You come back to your senses, in the gloom of the family crypt laying flat on a stone slab. Your parents are on their way to the crypt right now. You hear their muffled voices. They are arguing. And against all rules, Mother will not agree with Father. Why would Sir Gregor do this? He just took one of our child's lives. Lydia, my father is our family's head, and the boy raised a hand to him. There was nothing we could do, and Father did admit that he was too hard on him. Please do not anger Sir Gregor. You need to accept this. It will never happen to any of our children ever again. Their voices grow quiet as they lean over you. You lean on your elbows to try and get up from the stones. Mother gingerly wraps her cloak over your naked body as you shiver from the cold. My son, your first death came far too soon. I know it may be difficult to realize what happened, but know this. The twin gods are ever merciful. You are a child, and your time to leave for the hereafter has not yet come. You will be returned here by the gods twice more, but do not tempt fate again. And never ever defy those who can easily take your life. Orson, you have angered your grandfather greatly. Do not stand in Sir Gregor's way ever again, and he will never hurt you again. For now, just stay away from him. Father stays a step away from you, not saying a word. When Mother finishes talking, he picks you up and carries you outside. Together, your parents take you from the family crypt. On your way out of the crypt, you take a moment to touch your head. It is perfectly fine. There's no sign of the blow. Back home, Grandfather is still walking through the house examining the rooms. You can see that Stefan and Gloria are disturbed by what just happened. Nathan starts crying when he sees you. The playroom still reeks of burnt paint. Yeah, fuck you, Gregor. There's something new about you now. Pitch black stripe on your left arm. It looks like a strange bit of dirt at first, but it won't wash off. It'll be like that forever, Mother explains. That is all she will say of it. So we got some more determination. We're more inquisitive. Reborn once. There's something new. Oh, I already read that. Suffer your first death. Soon, Grandfather leaves. Your elder brother Stefan goes with him. From that day on, Father hired teachers tend to you alone. They bore you with monotonous lectures on writing, counting, and the way of life of the blessed Arcanine Empire. You often distract yourself from their instructions by playing with your younger brother Nathan. Your home grows quiet without your elder brother. Too quiet. Weeks later, your family receives a letter from Stefan. Grandfather has sent him to a boarding school for nobles. He is now studying hard in preparation for his service as a nobleman. So Grandfather took him, just to send him off again. What a fucking prick. Stefan Brante. The rules here are way too strict. You can't even sneeze without the teacher's permission. But I've been studying with my peers. We're learning how to live as nobles in the society of nobles. We're also learning the art of swordplay. That's my favorite part. With Stefan now at the boarding school, Grandfather arrives once more, this time to live in your home. The only good thing is that he often has urgent business in Ithirna, the capital of the empire, and has to travel there. One day you ask your mother why he lives where he lived before in Ithirna. She says, but now his place is here. One day you ask your mother where he lived before. In Ithirna, she says, but now his place is here. Each time grandfather returns, he gives the servants new orders. Your home is now always busy with repairs. The servants are redecorating grandfather's chambers, including his library and sitting room. Sometimes father tries to gently talk him out of this. Why subject the house to constant reconstruction? Grandfather's answers are always the same. This home is mine, and I will live here as befits a man of the nobility. An illustrious guest. Some days grandfather stays home, and on those days you try your best to stay out of his sight. But there is no way you can avoid family breakfast. The food is there, but you cannot bring yourself to eat it. Mother's eyes are red and swollen. She's been crying all night. Again. Grandfather sits at the head of the table, where nobody used to sit before. Robert, it is high time your youngest son underwent their sacraments. Sir Brante, please, let them live free of the lot for a while longer. They are but... Shut your mouth. Robert, that wife of yours is impudent enough to interrupt me. If this ever happens again, she'll be eating her gruel with the servants in the kitchen where she belongs. It is time you consider a real marriage, Robert. One to a woman of proper station. Gloria drops her fork. Grandfather shoots her a scathing look. A tear rolls down Mother's cheeks. Father does not look away from his plate, his hands clenched into fists. Baroness L. Lodar is such a woman. She is a comely widow and a fine match. She is suing for her inheritance right now and could use proper support and a husband. You can keep your low-born Lydia around if you like. Servant kept woman, lover, I don't care. I will not do that, Father. I'm the head of this family, and the family's standing took a severe blow after you married that comer. It is unthinkable. How could you give up the memory of beautiful Amelia Elborn for this lowly woman, and that bastard child of hers? But now you have a chance to set things right. Don't disappoint me. Father nods curtly, trying to not look in Mother's direction. Father, I wish to see Stefan. If I find your conduct in the Baroness' presence satisfactory enough, then you may see him. She is coming for a visit tomorrow. Be prepared. The fuck? That's my brother. And you say Dad can't see him? The fuck is wrong with you? Fuck you, Gregor. Trip you down the stairs. Grandfather wipes his mouth with his napkin, throws it onto his plate and leaves. Mother's lips move silently. Nobody says a word. Then Father stands up and orders you and the other children back to your room. He needs to speak to Mother in private. Father comes to your room before bedtime. He sits on the edge of the bed and adjusts the crease in the woolen blanket. He distances himself from you after Stefan's departure, so you're not used to such attention from him. In the candlelight, you can see his face in the dark. There's a sour expression on it. My son, Baroness Elma L. Lodar, will be visiting us tomorrow. Please be polite and treat her with respect. Nathan will do as you do. I want this dinner to be as immaculate as possible. Don't let me down. On the next day, Mother starts dressing you and Nathan for the coming dinner. You see red all around her eyes. She has been crying, and for a long time, it hurts just to look at her. Nathan starts whining quietly. You and Nathan are dressed in new doublets. Your tousled hair brushed into shape, Gloria is told to stay in her room. Father appears wearing his best suit. Mother is in a humble brown dress, looking pale. Grandfather has an uncharacteristically content look about him. You hear the sound of wheels and hooves against the cobbles in the yard. Then a pair of dainty heels come clanking. The antechamber is completely quiet, and still, fearing Grandfather's obedient eye, the door is open. You see your guest, a beautiful dark-haired woman in a dress of elegant deep blue. Father takes the hand of Lady Elodor and kisses it, showering her in compliments. Grandfather's face is beaming in her presence. No one even bothers to introduce Mother. Baroness, allow me to introduce you to Robert's sons, Horston and Nathan Brante. Frankly, isn't his eldest. It's his eldest son, Stefan, who deserves the most attention. But currently he is studying in Irthina with other young noblemen like himself. Like himself. It is my hope that his younger sons will also make me proud one day. Grandfather eyes you with a probing look. How will you act in front of the Baroness? Will you accept her here next to your mother, your father's rightful wife? Greet the Baroness politely. You take Mother's arm and leave the hall by her side. You greet Lady Elder with restraint and avoid getting too involved in the event. Let's walk away with Mother. Fuck you, Grandpa. You turn your back on the Baroness and walk to your mother. You walk upstairs to her room, hand in hand. Behind your back, stunned silence reigns in the antechamber. Soon the two of you are alone. A burden falls from your mother's shoulder. She embraces you. Together, you wait until the dinner ends and the Baroness leaves. You didn't betray me. If only you could know. If only you could feel how grateful I am right now. The morning after, Father leaves for Eternia with Grandfather to visit Stefan. He returns from the capital in a quiet rage. You overhear your parents talking. Apparently, Grandfather has already poisoned Stefan's mind against him, and greeted his father with cold hostility. The name of Baroness Eldor is never mentioned in the house again. The morning after, Father leaves for Eternia with Grandfather to visit Stefan. He returns from the capital in a quiet... Oh, I already read that. So we lost some relation with Dad. Bill gangster with Mom. And fuck you, Gregor. So our reputation has gone down, but our unity has gone up, so that's nice. And now we are 7 years old. Father now checks on your studies often and nitpicks you for sitting or eating or speaking in an incorrect fashion. Once he becomes so annoyed, he says that he wishes Stefan had been the one to stay home instead of you. You never expected to hear these words from your father, of all people. Grandfather's trip to the capital took longer than expected, and feels lighter around the house without his presence. You allow yourself a little change of scenery. Instead of your room, you now busy yourself with reading and calculations in the sitting room across from the open door to the yard. Gloria has joined you today. She has already helped you progress through several complex passages in the book. Right now, she seems to be preoccupied with a strange tube. Aren't you hurt by the way Grandpa treats you, you ask? Gloria just shrugs. Grandfather always says they should get rid of me. I'm used to it now. He hurts you a lot worse because you're closer to him. I just have to stay out of his way, that's it. Yeah, I kinda get into his face a little bit. She shows you the strange tube she's been holding all day. Look, it's a kaleidoscope. I got it as a gift. Do you want to see inside? Excited by the idea, you close the book and peer into the tiny hole on one end of the tube. Your eye sees a multitude of intricate patterns. Each turn of the tube reveals a new web of interwoven colors. They mesmerize you. The kaleidoscope turns the fire burning in the fireplace into a cavalry made of flames. You are riding at the front of the fiery horseman, ready to face the enemy. Grandfather's face emerges from the intersecting lines, and you swing the kaleidoscope like a sword, cutting it in half. Now you look at the blue sky. The window, the patterns unending, secretive, calm, and peaceful. Just like Father's smile before Grandfather's invasion. The deep blue gives way to scatterings of gold radiating gentle warmth like Mother's arms. This fleeting beauty too soon gives way to a hypnotic new pattern. Again and again you see your family in these interconnecting figures as they come together and break apart. And in the middle of this golden yellow you see Gloria's green eyes gazing at you observingly. Your sister left you long ago. The books are abandoned. Time slips away unchecked. But you are still busy peering into the kaleidoscope. Order emerges from the chaos before your eyes again and again, but you cannot preserve it no matter how you try. You are caught in an inner conflict. There is so much that the kaleidoscope can be done with this kaleidoscope. Should you take it apart, or ask Gloria how it works, or keep enjoying the patterns it shows you? But you still have your studies. Shouldn't take it apart. As much as I would like to. It's not mine to. Let's finish our studies and then share our discoveries. You put the kaleidoscope away and return to your studies. There's so much you have to discuss with Gloria, you cannot help but wonder what things she discovered there. But first, your lessons. When Father walks in, he sees you hard at work over the book. He chuckles in approval, then spots the kaleidoscope on the table next to you. He puts his eye to his toy, then freezes still for a moment. It takes him an effort to put it back. Then he praises you for being diligent, and then leaves. When today's section of the book is finished, you take the toy upstairs to your sister's room and tell her what you saw in it. Gloria smiles, knowing what you felt. I once saw a ballroom full of dancers. I watched it for an entire hour and my hand even got sore. You spend a long time with your sister discussing the kaleidoscopic figures, and you feel a strong connection to her. The toy has brought you closer together, made you interconnected, just like the lines and figures in its colorful eye. So we got some more determination, and we lost a bit of willpower. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. What now? Father's sword. When Father is not working long hours, you often see him spending long stretches of time in the backyard practicing his fencing. You are allowed to watch, but that's it. You are forbidden from touching the sword, let alone actually learning how to fight with it. It is a new day today, and Father has been busy in his studies since early in the morning. Mother took Gloria and Nathan to the shops. Your studies are done for today. The house is empty. You spot Father's sword hanging by the yard door. He must have left it there by accident after his training session. You deliberate at first, then grab the sword with resolve and run outside. At last you have a chance to see it up close. It's a small sword used for dueling, heavy and devoid of any ornamentation. You recall that it was made specifically for him. The weapon is difficult to handle. Its heft makes the palm of your hand shake. As you get used to it, you try your best to imitate Father's feints. Your technique leaves much to be desired, but at least it's something. You imagine yourself fighting for the family's honor as a thin blade slices through the air. But you swing too far back and the blade nicks your shoulder and cuts through your shirt, staining the fabric crimson. The sword falls to the ground with a dull clang. You apply pressure to the wound to make it stop bleeding, but all you do is make the blood flow faster. Horson, what are you doing? The familiar voice hurts you more than the cut of the sword. Father walks up to you briskly. His rugged arms ripped off a length of cloth and bandaged for your shoulder. He squats by your side and pulls you into an awkward embrace. My son, why did you have to take the sword? You know you're not supposed to hold it. This is not a toy. It is a weapon that can take lives. I know how you feel. I used to yearn for my father's dueling sword back when I was a lad. One day you might have a chance to earn the right to carry a weapon, but first, you must have patience and study, and become a noble. When that day comes, I will be proud to teach you myself. You rarely spend time with your father without someone else around. There is a parental love in his voice, so much that even the cut on your shoulder barely hurts now. You would be glad to be convinced by what he says. But how can you forget your dream? How can you abandon it just to earn your father's approval? Is it right for him to ask so much of you? You muster all your courage and beg your father to teach you how to hold the sword. Your father's inquisitive look presses you for an answer. It takes you a long time to muster enough courage to speak. You beg him to teach you how to fight, at least the very basics. It will certainly come in handy in your future. It will be your first steps towards becoming a nobleman. Now it takes your father a long time to respond. He is about to speak, and you expect a refusal, but he says nothing. He draws a sharp breath again, but remains quiet, then finally, he offers you the sword. But remember this, Horson. You are not a warrior, not yet. You will study this like you study your lessons. He teaches you the first lesson right away. You learn to dodge attacks. There are several times when the tip of the blade cuts the air dangerously close to your nose. It's scary and difficult, but you manage it. From that day forth, Father teaches you the foundations of sword fighting in great secret. You use your passion for tree climbing to explain the cuts you received during training. Soon you learn how to hold your own in a duel. But will you ever need this art in real life? Okay, now I'm exhausted. But we're resolute, gaining determination. You dare to study fencing like your father, even though you have no right to it by birth. This whole lot thing kind of pisses me off, but makes for a great story. Grandfather's visits are no longer a cause for fear and panic in the house. He's become something you're used to, something nagging, yet not unordinary, like a splinter or a stain on your trousers. The tension still remains, however. Grandfather's disdain for everyone in the house is so palpable, it almost stings for real. Your lessons with the tutor are done for today. You're walking down the stairs when you spot Gloria peeping into the sitting room through a slightly open door. You sneak up to your sister and tap lightly on the shoulder. She's startled. Oh, it's you. Look, Grandpa's eating something. Your grandfather is sitting on the sofa, flipping through a book with one hand and reaching for a glass bowl with the other now and then. Inside the bowl, you see candied fruit, a sweet confectionery forbidden to the common estate. Like all sweet things, yet Grandfather's face shows no pleasure as he keeps consuming the high-born treats. The clock strikes 3. Father raises from his seat, puts the bowl on the shelf and leaves for the yard. He always takes a walk to the city at this time. Gloria nudges you with the elbow and looks at the candy bowl. Then when you look at her, the first emotion you feel is fear, but the next becomes curiosity, and it's stronger. Stefan used to boast that candied fruit tastes incredible, and now you have an opportunity to try it. You try a candied fruit first. The sugar starts to melt as soon as you put it on your tongue. It's so sweet. You've never eaten anything as good as this. You take the whole bowl off the shelf and give it to your sister. She takes the fruit and brings it to her mouth carefully, like a rare treasure. There's a thumping on the stairs, footsteps accompanied by the knocking of a walking stick. You have no idea why, but grandfather is back. You quickly hide behind the sofa and pull Gloria after you. But she is frozen in place with the bowl in her hands. The door opens. Grandfather's menacing figure approaches Gloria. His hand seizes her arm. You squalid, ungrateful, low-born child. How dare you bite the hand that feeds you? You and your trollop mother will be sleeping in the ditch if it weren't for my spineless son. The sweet and pleasant things in life are for the noble estate, not the likes of you. Did you forget your lot? His hand swings and hits Gloria on the cheek. She falls to the floor right next to where you are hidden, her fingers glistening with the warm, melting sugar that brought you here. Grandfather advances again, his walking stick ready, but then he sees you huddling behind the armchair. Please don't hurt him, Sir Brante. It's all my fault. He tried to stop me. You can already see a bruise on Gloria's cheek. This is only the beginning of her punishment. Gloria was caught red-headed, unlike you. You can avoid your punishment. What is it then, Milksop? Did you try the sugar too, or were you trying to stop this piece of filth like she says? Oh, I don't have enough willpower. Don't have enough gratitude with Gloria. So I can only lie and go along with what she says. I don't like that. You stand up and start talking. Yes, Gloria was telling the truth. You were trying to stop her. Grandfather tilts his head as he keeps his eyes transfixed in his inhospitably bitter gaze. Then why did you hide behind the iron chair, you petty thief? It was all Gloria, you tell him. She told you to hide. Gloria looks at you with pain and disappointment when you say this. Grandfather nods, satisfied by your answer. He tells you to stay and watch him as he punishes Gloria. The first time in your life you see somebody else being punished. Her skin's split apart by Grandfather's walking stick, her clothes getting soaked in blood as she writhes in agony. Night comes, but Gloria's sobbing keeps you awake. You go to her bedroom and try to calm her down, but a muffled "go away" is her only reaction. She lied to Grandpa for you, so why is she angry with you now? I don't like that. Mother takes Gloria to the church next morning. They return late in the afternoon, and Gloria begs Father on her knees for forgiveness. She will never take what she does not deserve by birth, she pleads. She does not look at you, not even once. I could have used that 10 minutes ago. The sacrament. Father and Mother have been focused on Nathan and you since early morning. Instead of breakfast, you were told to say your prayers, wash your hands and faces, and get dressed in plain white shirts. Today is the day of your sacrament. Mother, I want to go play in the yard. No playing today. You and Horson are big boys now. It is time for you both to have your first sacrament. No one can live without a lot. I don't want a lot. Be quiet and listen. You are born commoners, so you must accept the low-born lot before the twins. When you grow up, you'll get a chance to earn a noble lot. Father and Mother take you to the carriage. Nathan is hungry. He starts whining. Grandfather is the last to get in the carriage. His eyes are on you and your brother, looking for every fault. Soon the carriage is moving along the streets. Evainzot, slowly. Soon the carriage is moving along the streets of Ainzot, slowly and solemnly. One more turn and you see the colossal white building marked by two massive pillars. For the first time in your life, you are to enter the Church of the Twin Gods. You enter the gate and walk under the splendor of the dome church. The church hall is divided into two halves. They are drastically different from one another. The floor on one side is rough and jagged and covered with dried brown spots, while the floor on the other side is made of smooth marble. The commoners kneel on the jagged floor, and the well-dressed nobles and their families sit on pews. Father and grandfather leave you to sit on one of the noble pews. Mother walks to the rough stone of the commoner siding and gets down on her knees. You see her wince in pain, for the low-born estate shall suffer in the house of the faith. The church acolytes surround you and lead you to the altar, where you and other children will take your sacrament this day. Before you stands a tall priest dressed in black, with a sword in one hand and a hefty whip in the other. Nathan's whining grows louder. He dislikes this place. He is scared. You remain quiet, but your stomach roils in unsteady anticipation. The first child to take the sacrament is a jaunty little boy from a family of nobles. The priest extends a sword before him and recites the words of his lot. From this day forth, he will fight and rule and pursue the arts, his mind now forever free from the throes of suffering, for he now belongs to the noble lot. The boy proudly touches the flat of the blade with his lips. Nathan is next to receive the sacrament. He suddenly snaps out of his fearful trance and tries to break free, but the acolyte pulls him towards the altar and throws him on the jagged floor at the low-born side. The sharp edges bite into Nathan's knee as he lands, spraying drops of red around him. I don't want a horse in. Why do they have to whip me? What did I do? You try to break free and run for Nathan's side. You want to give him courage and protect him, but the acolyte grips you on you is too firm. You feel utterly helpless. Your little brother has to face the world all by himself. The priest starts reciting the words of the lot. He swings the lash over Nathan's shoulder. From this day forth, Nathan, thou shalt endure and work and suffer. Thou shalt be ardent in your labor and humble in obedience to thy rulers. And now cometh thy true suffering, thou which must accept with gratitude. The lash cracks, it strikes his right shoulder, it strikes his left shoulder. The blows are so powerful that Nathan falls to the floor. The priest tells him to rise. He has received his lot. Nathan gets to his feet and drags himself towards Mother, his knees torn and bloodied, his spirit broken. It's your turn. Your feet will not move. You can barely muster enough strength to walk to the altar. You get down on your knees and feel the sharp stones below, so sharp your clothing cannot protect you. Your skin begins to burn. The acolyte forces your head down, and you feel the lash being drawn above you, ready to strike. The priest's words for you now. This is thy sacrament. Thou shalt work and endure and suffer. Thou art about to receive the first true suffering by the sacred lash. Do you accept thy lot? I don't have enough willpower. Let's catch the lash. The lash strikes, but your hand flies up and intercepts it before it can reach your shoulders. The leather whip leaves a deep cut on the palm of your hand. Blood starts dripping down your arm, soaking your humble shirt red. The furious priest yanks the lash out of your hand. The acolyte grabs you by the arms again. You will not be given a second chance to interrupt the sacrament. The lash cracks and hits you on the right shoulder. You grit your teeth. Your back barely hurts at all. The real pain comes from the cut on your hand. The lash strikes again, this time on your left shoulder. You raise your head. You raise and walk away from the altar, swaying. You see things with surprising clarity now. A timid hand touches yours. It is Nathan. His tearful face a mixture of confusion and awe. Your mother takes your hand and leads you out of the church. Once you're outside, she scolds you for being insubordinate. Your grandfather is last to leave his church. His face is covered in red, angry blotches. There's a quiet fury in his voice as he says something to Father, who remains quiet and miserable as you walk to the carriage. You defied a powerful will that day. There is a fear inside you. You fear that this will might one day destroy you. My perception went down, but my determination went up. The mark left on you by the sacrament takes a long, long time to heal. Mother says it's a reminder of your lot, suffering and sufferance, pain and patience. Gloria shows you the mark of the lash on her shoulder one day. It will never disappear. You are a commoner now. This is your lot you were born into. But Father keeps telling you to study hard so you may yet earn a different lot and become a noble of the mantle. You recall the past with warm sadness, when Stefan still lived with you, or when he wrote you for a short time after he left. Now he thinks it beneath him to write to commoners in his family. Mother didn't lock herself in the bedroom as often back then. This changed shortly before Nathan was born. But, most importantly, you missed a time before the terrifying figure of your grandfather was constantly looming over you. You learned the true power of the lot only after the head of the family's arrival. In grandfather's eyes, no commoner deserves to be treated with kindness. Is this just him, or is that the way the entire world? The very thought makes you queasy. You're older now, and what's more, you're an elder brother now. You've learned how to take care of someone else, how to teach and protect. Soon, you are a small boy no longer. As the days pass, play gradually gives way to laborious study. Now your choices will decide your place in a bizarre and ruthless world of adulthood. Your childhood years are over. Important life events that happened in this chapter. Born, my brothers and sisters' sacrament, Nathan's birth, grandfather's return, I died, fencing lenses, and my sacrament. Alright. I'm still inquisitive, resolute, damn near exhausted though. And that's the end of chapter 1. So I think we'll leave it there. And we'll continue on into our adolescence in the next episode. And we'll see you guys then.